All the way from Houston, Texas, Mr. Mark Lowry! Hi! Hello, everybody! I don't do stairs. I broke my femur.
Are you taking a video?
Don't take Ambien.
Video, go ahead.
I took an Ambien at 11 o'clock, woke up at 4 o'clock on the floor with a broken femur, and I'd already broken the bottom part of that leg in a motorcycle wreck in 2005. So this leg has a bar going from there to there and from there to there. It will never break again. It's the bionic leg. You know, I broke it. I had a motorcycle. I sold it while I was in the hospital. In 2005, a friend of mine called and said, "Come have a burrito with me." And I was in Houston. It's such a beautiful. I'm gonna sit right here. Don't worry about me. I'm on Vicodin now. Nothing can hurt. No, but a friend called and said, "Meet me at the burrito shop." So I did. I got on my Honda Silver Wing. It was a beautiful day in Houston, you know. And by the way, haven't Joseph and what's your name? and the Crab Boy, haven't they done good tonight? But anyway, so y'all have done a great job. I'm not kidding you. It's incredible. So I was in a Baptist and a Pentecostal on the same stage working together. That is God.
Which one's which?
How many Baptists are in here? See? My people. I thought I was such a self-righteous spirit.
Yeah, okay.
Any Pentecostals here? In Houston, it was, let me tell you, it's so humid in Houston, the Pentecostals won't even lift their arms. It's just, that's all you can get out of them. But any Church of Christ here? Oh. You get to hear a piano. It's almost like sitting, isn't it? Any Catholics? Any Catholics? Usually there's one or two. Oh, God bless you. There's one only Catholic, right? Thank you for coming. Where's another Catholic? Where? God bless you. Thank you. Tell Mary I said hey. I'm Baptist. We're not allowed to talk to her. But tell her I said thanks for that song. We'll say, Mom, everybody's making fun of my big head. She go, "Oh, Mark, it's okay. Here, let me dry your eyes." Anyway, I was driving down Shepherd Drive and I was headed towards Shepherd face first without my helmet. And all the way down, I remember thinking, this is gonna hurt. And I slammed my head on Shepherd Drive and I popped back up and I was awake and because I hate to miss anything. I was so glad I was awake and I was sliding across Shepherd Drive and these cars were dodging me and I was going, thank you. And I finally come to a stop in the road and I finally stopped and I'm thinking, well, that wasn't that bad. And the motorcycle slid ahead of me, you know, and I thought, well, I'm gonna get up and go home. And I did go deaf for about 5 minutes because I heard this loud ring. I hit my head so hard, it was ringing in my ear. And this big old I love rednecks, they're my people, pulled up in a truck and looked down at me and said, "Do you need an ambulance?" I said, "I can't hear a word you're saying." He said, "Woo!" I said, "I think I do." Because I looked down at my knee and it was over here. And I thought, well, Lord, that don't look right. And I knew I couldn't walk on that, so I looked to the side over there. There's some fellas standing there waiting on jobs. I said, "Could you boys help me off the road?" They said, "We don't speak English." I said, "Will you help me off the El Rodeo? I think I broke my leg here." And once they understood my Spanglish, they came to me. Like the good Samaritans that they were. And they were so sweet and so kind, and they wrapped their arms around me and carried me off the road, and they waited with me. They waited with me until the ambulance showed up, and it took forever for the ambulance to show up. So I called my friend, told her I wasn't going to make it to the burrito shop. And she called my friend Dina, who called my friend Bubba, who called my friend Philip, and they all started showing up. They all lived right around there. And before the ambulance came, I had a good crowd. And the ambulance came, and the first thing they did, y'all, you need to know this in case you're ever in this predicament. The first thing they did when they arrived, they cut off my britches. In front of God and everybody. In front of those Mexican men, Dina, Shelly, Bubba. I'm telling you, they cut them off! Your mama was right. It was waking up. It was in shock up to this point. And it was every speed bump. I mean, ambulances do not have shocks. You could roll over a quarter and tell if it was heads or tails. By the time we got to the hospital, it was wide awake. And when they tried to move me from the ambulance bed to the hospital bed was the moment in time I became so thankful that I am a Baptist. Because you Pentecostals will go to hell for what I said. Once saved, always saved. And then I was crying and weeping and wailing, and the doctor finally showed up and he said, he gave me a morphine drip. I became a Pentecostal. I could hardly speak English. I went from hellish pain to heavenly gain. That stuff is of God. And then I passed out. And then while I was unconscious, they x-rayed my leg. And the doctor, who also thought it was out of socket, when I woke up, he said, no, you have shattered your leg. He said, from your knee to the middle of your shin is a hole. There are no bones left. And we're going to do surgery in the morning, and we're going to fill it up with cadaver bones. I said, you're going to do what? Cadaver bones, dead people. From here to here are people. I don't even know. But I love them. I just hope they were saved. Well, think about it. If they weren't saved and the Lord comes back, is my leg gonna fall out? Or what if they were saved and the dead in Christ rise first? And I go chasing them through the pearly gates. Get back in here. Gloria Gaither said something to that woman. Gloria Gaither, she's so smart. Her blonde does not go to the root. She told me one day when we're having breakfast, she said, you know, it seems to me like God's in the interruptions of my life, and He's seldom in my plans. Shepherd Drive was an interruption. This was an interruption, January 4th. She said, God is in the interruptions. And I started thinking, well, I went back over my life. And you know, you ought to do that. Go back over your life, think about it. I bet you find Him in your interruptions. I seldom learn anything about God on a good day. It's usually when I hit Shepherd Drive. I tend to look around and find diamonds everywhere. Because this ain't home, this is boot camp. This is where we get to learn to walk by faith. Yes. You know? And God will use anybody. You know, He really will. I mean, look at the crop that sang tonight. Just a pack of sinners. But look at the Bible. It's full of freaks, frauds, and failures. I mean, King David, if he'd have had Prozac, we'd have never had Psalms. was up one psalm, down the next. Up one psalm, down the next. Up one. Prozac would have leveled that out. God will use anybody. And I looked through my life and I thought, what has been? I was born. That was the first interruption. I didn't ask to be born. But Mama met Daddy. And then I had ADHD before they knew how to abbreviate it. When I turned 50, I dropped the H. I'm tired. I used to run around hyperactive. Now I just sit in the lazy boy and watch. And then my mom now has dementia, and it's been one interruption after another through my life. And I thought, well, I wonder if, you know, if it is true that God's in the interruptions, I wonder if Jesus was ever interrupted. And I started finding it. It's all in the Bible. You know, one day he was going to heal somebody's daughter, and the woman with the issue of blood interrupted his journey, remember? Yeah. And she touched his garment, and she was healed. She interrupted him. And the interruption made the Bible. Yep. One day Jesus was preaching. Here's God on foot preaching, and nobody took notes. His sermon didn't make the Bible, but the interruption did. They saw through the roof, let a crippled guy down in front of him, and Jesus healed him, and we don't know what Jesus preached about, but the interruption made the Bible. Can you imagine next Sunday your pastor's on his third point, and you hear a chainsaw fire up on the roof? They let a crippled guy down in front of your preacher, and he's Baptist, he can do nothing about it, so they have to hold him. You wouldn't remember the sermon either. And Mary, she was interrupted, remember? Look, you know, I went to Bible college, and one of my professors said that Mary was 13 when the angel of the Lord showed up in her room. 13! That is young! Of course, they died at 40, you know, back then. You know, they had to get going early. Because they died young. Now we got medicine. People don't know when to die. Some of y'all need to lay down. She's 13 or so, you know, I never did find that in the Bible, but I learned a lot of things in Bible college. I never read the Bible, but we do know she was young, and an angel shows up. She's probably playing with her dolls, and angel shows up and says, guess what? You're going to birth a baby. And I was reading this one day on the back porch with my dogs, and this just jumped out at me. I thought, the angel says, you're going to birth a baby. And all Mary said was, but I've never known a man. And then the angel explains it to her, and then she starts singing. I was reading this thinking, this ain't no time for a concert. You have an angel in the room, ask them some questions. I think the first thing I just said was, could you run by my mother's room? She's going to need an explanation. You've already made the trip, one more stop ain't going to kill you. But not Mary. She said, be it unto me as you say. And she starts singing and worshiping the Lord. And that was an interruption. And then when the baby was due, she's 9 months pregnant. The Bible says she's great with child. They decide to go on a road trip. And Joseph forgot to book a room. And he puts her on a donkey for a long journey. No wonder her water broke. I mean, listen, we have beautified the story. This was an interruption. I mean, you women who've had babies, tell me, do you really think it was a silent night? No epidural, no mother's hand to hold. You've heard the Isaac song. I mean, here she was, 13, young girl. All she had was Joseph, a few moo cows staring at her. No room in the inn, just a little hay for a pillow. This was an interruption. And then when he's 12, they decide to go on another road trip. This was another interruption. These people weren't bright. This is another proof that God will use anybody. They lost Jesus for 4 days. Have you ever lost your kid for 4 days? Somebody should have called social services. They into their journey home when it dawned on them. Can you imagine 2 days into their journey home when Mary finally realizes Jesus isn't with them? She runs up to Joseph and says, "Have you seen Jesus?" "No, I thought he was with you." "Oh my God, yes, that's who I'm talking about." "Have you seen it?" Then they had to haul it back to Jerusalem to find him at the temple where they left him. 4 days, maybe 5 days. One day even looking for him in Jerusalem. Up to 5 days. Don't you know they were scared here? They've been entrusted with God's kid and they've lost him. And Mary finds him at the temple and she starts to chew him out. And he says to her, "Don't you know? I must be about my Father's business." And she bought it. That might never work for me. Mama said, "I'll show you your Father's business. Get in the house." Because my mama knew I wasn't virgin born. But if anybody knew Jesus was virgin born, Mary knew it. And you know, really, he did deserve to be chewed out. I mean, it wasn't a sin, but it wasn't right. He should have stayed with the grave. And then, we don't hear from him till he's 30. From 12 to 30, not a word. Good night. God is in the house. Keep a journal. Next time you see him, he's 30. He knows he's the Messiah. She knows he's the Messiah, and he's still living at home. She is ready for him to go Messiah. She walks up to him at this marriage party, and she says, "They run out of wine." I know she said it like that because his response was, "Woman." He did. He called his mama. You know, if you're going to call your mom a woman, you better be God. He said, "Woman, what am I going to do with you? It's not my time." But it was his time. Because his first recorded miracle was turning water into wine. His first miracle was just to keep the party going. Yes, he turned water into wine. Baptists turned it into grape juice. And then he started doing those cool miracles, raising the dead, sight to the blind, legs to the lame. Couldn't pass a funeral without breaking it up. When the dead sit up, the funeral's over. That's the reason no Pentecostals are allowed at my funeral. Don't bring me back once I'm gone. I'll come up swinging. But Mary saw it all. And my mother said something to me one time when I was a little kid, and I'll never forget it. She said, "Mark, if anybody knew he was virgin born, Mary knew it." And Mama said, "The reason why I think this story is true more than any other reason was the silence of Mary at the cross." She said, "Because, you know, Mark, if you were being crucified in our hometown for claiming to be God, I'd be pitching a fit. I'd say he's crazy, but don't kill him. He's a liar, but don't kill him. He's a lunatic, but don't kill him, because I know you weren't virgin born." But one thing Mary could hold on to through all that she went through as his mother was the fact that she could remember the angel.